Hi, this is Denise Matthew. I hope you're doing well. I'm back again for another week of the transits and a few things happening this week. And we're continuing on with the experiment, the mandala of life. It's going really well. And it's hard to believe that we're almost a month in. So I'm kind of excited about that we've already got almost 1 month under our belt. We're going to be moving out of the Aquarius energy into the Pisces energy really soon. And when we do move into that, we're going to start with gate 55, which is all about individuality. And we're going to be talking about the melancholy and the types of feelings and the moods that can come with the individual energies, especially something like the gate 55. That's something to watch out for on the community tab. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that I'm going to start putting the exact same kind of comments and sort of when I talk about each line of each gate that we're doing, I'm going to be doing that on Instagram. So if some people prefer it on Instagram, then you can check it out there. But if you prefer it on the community tab on YouTube, you can check it out there. It's just Denise Matthew on Instagram. And I will leave the link below so that you can hook up and if you're interested in doing that. And I hope everybody's doing well. I mean, we've had some really crazy winter weather, a lot of people who are not used to it. I hope everybody's keeping safe and doing well, and hopefully that will start to relieve itself soon. It's been an interesting winter. I mean, really very extreme weather that we haven't actually seen in a lot of years. A lot of places haven't. So I'm hoping things are going to improve soon for everybody. And on that note, let's get into the transits. So right now we have the sun just moving into the gate 55 in the line 1, and we have the earth in the gate 59 line 1 as well. We'll talk about that. Like I said, that's a melancholy, or it's a different type of energy. It's an individual energy. And we do have a few movements in the planets. We will have Mercury going direct on the 21st, which is kind of nice. I think that I was watching a video today, an astrology video, and somebody they were saying that there was a sense of inertia, and I actually agree with that. Things are kind of stagnant and not really moving very far forward, which is to be expected during Mercury retrograde. So hopefully when Mercury starts to go direct again and starts to sort of pick up some speed, we'll start to feel energy that is kind of moving in a direction as opposed to stagnation. But again, we are in the winter months in the northern hemisphere, so it stands to reason that things slow down. It's very common, that sense of dormancy or things kind of slowing down and then things starting to pick up again in spring, which is pretty much just next month. Like I said, sun is in the gate 55. The gate 55 is the first energy that we're talking about when we're talking about the mandala of life. The first energy that is all about individuality. It's an individual energy, and it is part of the individual stream. So when we talk about the gate 55, we're talking about a mutation. We're talking about this feeling of being a little different, or feeling a little different, or wanting to put your mark on the world. Sometimes it can be that you want to do it in a social way, and that would be more of the 1222. That's more of a social individuality, as of you're still expressing yourself the way you want to, but there's a social component, as in out into the world. I'm being the version of myself as an individual out into the world. I'm speaking, and there's a lot of music, artistic work, that type of thing. And basically what it's doing is taking the mutation that we begin from the 3955 right up to 1222, and it gets to the voice, or gets to the throat center, and it can be a manifestation, or it can be talking about these new mutations or these new innovations that people want to bring into the world, or new types of anything. So when we're talking about the gate 55, we are talking about something that is related to the moods, because it is a gate that comes off the solar plexus. Anything that is individual by nature is going to have some level of melancholy in it. That is the normal thing. Now, if you have an open emotional center, you will still feel the melancholy. That will remain. And so I think that a lot of times people think that, or there's the way it's explained is that if you are open emotionally, then you're not going to feel any energy, like you're not going to feel any of this melancholy or these different changes in moods or anything like that. But that's not true. In fact, if you have individual energy, any kind, even just one gate of any individual gates can bring this melancholy. The melancholy is it is an expression of this need to be creative. And I talk about creativity a lot. Creativity, when it comes to human design, is it really is about this idea. And I think in general, if we can talk about creativity as in the nature of being human. I think we can say that creativity is this expression of ourselves in a way that makes us feel happy, in a way that makes us feel good. And again, happy is not always, there's a duality in happiness. And I did make a whole video on the Gate 55, which will be coming out on it'll be coming out this Thursday, because the way the energy is moving, the way the gates are moving, they don't actually come up and show up on every Saturday. So I've had to sort of change the schedule. I had intended to start with always have the Saturday uploads, but it hasn't worked out that way. So I just have to go with the flow of it. But what we're talking about when we're talking about the Gate 55, it's much like the 1222 in that there can be music, there can be a lot of creativity in this. And when we're talking, as I said, when we're talking about this creativity, we are talking about this expression of doing whatever makes you feel happy. And happiness is a duality of accepting yourself for exactly who you are, being okay with who you are, no matter where you are in your life, no matter what you feel like. I think that the biggest problem that we have with individuality, or the melancholy that comes with this individuality, is this concept that we need to always be up. And if you get up in the morning and you're feeling low, I mean, I know what this melancholy feels like because I have the Gate 55 in my Earth, so it's way up there, and I have other individual energy, and I know what it feels. It just feels like this flatness, and what it's begging from me and from anybody who has individuality is to direct my energy into something that makes me feel good. And what makes me feel good is going to be different from what makes everyone else feel good. And so that's ultimately it. What do I love doing? So for me, I love a lot of creative things. Like I like making jewelry. I like writing, things like that, and I love listening to music, because I think that when the right music for me, it sort of brings me to a place where I'm feeling with this energy. I'm not trying to get rid of it. I'm allowing it to just do its thing and to move through, but not questioning, why do I feel like this? Why am I feeling down? Why did it suddenly happen? I have a good life. I have this, these kind of things. So when we let go of that perspective of always having to be on one side of the emotionality of life, I mean, how can we always be happy? I mean, if we were always happy and we didn't know sadness, we wouldn't even know what happiness was, because we wouldn't have the duality of anything. So understanding that we are up and we are down, and that's okay, and that's just part of being alive. And the other thing about this Gate 55 that's pretty magical is there's this ability to kind of connect with the idea that we are being supported by the universe, and that we're always trying to control everything. We're always trying to put everything, oh well, we'll do this and this and this, and then I'll get this and this will happen. But sometimes there's these magical moments in our lives where things just kind of unfold, and they show us a path that we never expected. And this is what the energy of the Gate 55 is all about. But ultimately it's about being open to something new, about letting go. And some people say letting go or letting God. I can say letting go and letting the universe show you the path that they're letting you see, that they want you to walk. And when you allow that to happen, it really is a magical experience. So check out the video that I am putting out on Thursday. It will go into it a little bit more, and it will talk a little bit about 2027 and how it factors into 2027. As we go through the mandala, I will unpack a lot more information about, where we're going and those types of things. But it's usually just based on the gates will come up and they'll sort of show an emphasis on where the direction is going to be. February 24th, we're going to go into the Gate 37. The sun is going to be going into the Gate 37. And we know that the sun, as I say, is always going to be about an expression of what the energy is around, the expression of, it could be like, if we're talking about people on the world stage, we're talking about solar figures, or people who are people are in power, people who have big jobs, that are movers and shakers. It can also be just what the energy is of everybody is feeling in that particular moment, in that particular time. So we get into the 37, we're talking about a tribal energy. We're moving from the individuality and moving into a tribal energy, which is all about family. This is all about connecting. This is all about eating good food. I mean, maybe more people will want to get out to restaurants. Maybe, they're like, or they want to feed themselves even nicer meals than they have before. Like this energy of let's get together, let's, and if it's not possible, there could be a craving to be together. There could be a craving to have this community, this craving to want to be with your family, with your friends and those types of things. And there could be some level of trying to make some social changes. So people might be saying, we've done this and this and this, and now we need to start directing our energy. So if we're saying that we have up until now been trying to put the forest fire of the COVID and everything out of putting it out, now we're starting to look at how can we start to rebuild and how can we start to get that sense of community back, which is really something I think that if anything 2020 took completely away. It was like, you are not allowed to have community. That's not part of the equation. And I think that is one of the things that people are craving the most, to get back to that, to get back to that energy. This is all about just wanting to have peace, to wanting to have that energy of just relaxation and no drama and that type of thing. And I think that's another thing we might be feeling, like just wanting to get ahead, just wanting to move forward, to get into spring, to get into something new, some new energy. And I do feel like it will be an energy that could potentially be a more peaceful energy, or an energy where we're looking for the good things in life. We're looking for the beauty in being together and those types of things. And maybe we will be able to start connecting more. And even if it is via Zoom, well, at least there's some level of getting some level of harmony together and those types of things. It is about making deals and business. If you're looking at that perspective, this is about the bargain, and it's part of the channel 3740. 3740 is the 37 is an opposition, or it's when the sun goes into 37, the earth goes into the 40, so it becomes the whole channel. So if you look here on February 24th, because the sun and earth are always going to be exactly opposite, and it's not normal for it to be the case. And I'm jumping ahead. I will talk about the gate 59 in the earth as well. But if we look at, this is one of the oppositions. Another one is the 3420. That's another opposition. And then the 4323 are another opposition, which means that they're actually exactly opposite. So when one shows up in the sun, the other one shows up in the earth. What that says is that we are having the whole family channel, the whole channel of bargains. We're having the whole channel of making deals. This is about trying to get things done for the community, for the tribe, for the family. So there's like the yin and yang of this whole energy. Now, the interesting thing is they are in opposition. So there could be a push and pull. The 40 wants to pull away and say, I need to have my alone time. And the 37 is like, okay, I'll support you and help you and I'll take care of you. And the 40. So there's this energy of wanting to have the family, but also it's tribal. So you're going to have some level of needing to have rules and a deal. So it's like, if I do this, you do this. And so I think the most important thing to know about this energy when it's actually activated is, if you are in fact making a deal with somebody, make sure that you are completely clear about what's happening. If you are making a commitment to do something, make sure that you're holding up your end of the bargain, because if you're not, there's potential for you to have a breakdown of the relationship that you've made this deal with, or whoever it is. So make sure, if you're signing new contracts, always make sure you're checking the fine print, because there will be a lot of emphasis on this energy. Right now, the earth is in the gate 59. The gate 59 plays in with the gate 55. The gate 55 is, like I said, it's 2027. It's going to be a big mutative energy. It's an individual energy, and it plays in with the gate 59 because they're Ra-Uru, who called them harmonics, and I think Richard Rudd calls them something like that as well. So basically they're energies that are always opposite when they're coming between the sun and the earth, and so they work together, I guess, you could say. So the 55 is the mutation, and the 59 is the mating or the bonding for the proper mutation to be infiltrated into the collective, basically. So that's kind of a little bit of 2027 kind of information. The other thing, just from a mundane perspective, is we're going to be grounded in this idea of looking for a mate, looking for, again, so we're talking a lot of tribal energy we're moving into. We're looking for going on a date, going on things that make us feel like, we're connecting with people. But this is more romantic. This is less about the family and more about the romance. This is about looking for a partner, looking for a soulmate, if you want to call it that. The other thing is breaking barriers down. How can we make things more inclusive for everyone? So in other words, we have, this person and they don't see eye to eye. Where's the commonality that we can find between these people? And working on group projects, those types of things. So something that stands between you and somebody else is what this energy is talking about. It's talking about that obstacle and deciding that maybe that isn't something that you want anymore. And how can you find a commonality? This does go with 59-6. 6 is all about finding peace, resolutions, those types of things. So it comes together in a way that you can work together, or you could be romantically involved. It could be about partnerships. This isn't necessarily about marrying. This is more about just the partnership. It's about dating. It's about doing things like that, those types of things that you're doing to sort of get into a relationship. Mercury is going direct on February 21st, so we will start to get a little bit more movement in how things are moving. It's been a lot of inertia, as I was saying. So, this is an opportunity to actually get back into the game and start to do more. So what that means is, because it's going retrograde and it slowly starts to move forward again, when it starts to go forward again, it is a slower process until it sort of picks up speed to its regular level, which means that until February 27th, it's going to remain in the gate 19. So the gate 19, as we know, is all about the sensitivity. We talked a lot about it. What I think's happened is, after there's been this separation from a lot of people, and a lot of people haven't been able to date, a lot of people haven't been able to sort of connect. Now we're looking at this idea that maybe we can start to go back out. Maybe we can start to really look for somebody that you want to spend time with, some partnership of some sort. And this is all about looking outside of yourself. What do other people need? What, instead of looking at only the self, which is an individual energy, we're looking at a tribal energy and saying, what do other people need? Sometimes there's this idea that you're doing too much for other people. You're sacrificing yourself, and you're not sort of looking at what you need, those types of things. I mean, we would go to one side or the other. But if you stay in the middle, you can look out for other people's needs as well as your own. And it's the support for, it is the support for the gate 49, which is all about supporting the revolution. So we still do have the energy of the full channel, the emotional energy of the 1949. Find the worthy causes to push forward and discover what we can change in the world. And so there's an emotionality that's we want to change the system. We want to support. We want to be supported. And I think that's what's happening, especially with all the unusual storms and weather patterns that we've been having. People are in a position where they're struggling a lot. And right now it's like the focus is, what are you going to do for us? What are you going to do to help us? Because that's part of the whole tribal energy, is it's all comes down to being supported, to have what you need, to have the food, the shelter, and all those kind of things. And when that's not happening, that's when the rebellion can rise, and people will get frustrated and say, okay, we're going to push against the system because we're frustrated and we're not getting what we need, and we need the basics of life. And we're also looking at the sensitivity. There's a deep connection with animals. People have been coming out to talk about animals and how they're being mistreated. In fact, in Texas, I was just reading something that they said they corralled a bunch of turtles and put them in a safe area because it was getting so cold for them that they might die. So there's that sensitivity being reached out for animals as well, and trying to look out for the welfare of animals as well. So those are the kind of energies that we can be thinking. Right now, we have Venus in the gate 49. And so we have the Mercury, Venus together. We have the abundance, the need. What do I need in my life? The resources. And when we get to one point, it's the luxuries as well. But we're also talking about resources. Like I said, you combine it with the Mercury, and then you have this energy of talking about needing resources. And if we're not getting it, can we rebel? Especially in Texas. I mean, I think that's where we're really seeing a lot of people struggling, and the images are very, very disheartening to see people suffering so much and just being so cold. So, I hope things will shift soon and that the weather pattern will change, because I think there's so much you can do with support, but then if you don't have the weather pattern to support the changes that you're trying to make, and the things that right now I believe there's power issues, there's issues with water and a few other things. So this could be really activating that energy of, pushing back against all these so-called leaders who are not doing their part, who are pointing fingers at other people and saying, oh, well, it's their fault. It's not even anymore about fault. It's about, how can you help your people? How can you support the people that need to be supported? And that's the most important thing in this thing. And if that doesn't happen, this is where we get into this rebelling. This is where we get into, pushing against the system and saying, okay, we've had enough. We want something. February 21st, we're moving into the gate 30. Again, this is the experience of these intense experiences, of the fantasies that we want to bring into manifestations, the things we want to hold on to bring into something into the world. Now, when we talk about the gate 30, we just finished off with the gate 30 in the sun, and it is really all about this energy of holding on to the right experiences, the right ideas, the right things that you want to bring into manifestation. And in other words, or you could just be holding on to anything, or clinging on to old energy, or clinging on to dreams that have no potential to actually come alive. So it's those types of things. And when we're talking about Venus, we're talking about the beautiful things. We're talking about, I mean, I can almost look at it and say that maybe it's holding on to these ideals of femininity, ideals of beauty, and maybe not seeing the reality that not everybody's going to look a certain way, but just seeing that we're all individual, and that's okay. And also holding on to the concept that you need more money, you need more abundance, you need those types of things, because right now you want to have more luxuries, and really clinging on to those energy. I think that's spring fever kind of thing, even before spring is here. It's just, I think everything feels a little bit earlier this year, that we just really are looking for that sign of something new, something hopeful that will bring the warmer breezes, I guess. February 26th, we go into the gate 55. We talked about the gate 55 again. There's abundance, and then this is again surrendering to trusting that the universe will bring you what you need. And if you, like, the thing is with this energy is, if you're not trusting it, then it could be not showing up. It's almost like the universe responds to the trust. So this is abundance and abundance. The gate 55, which is all about abundance of spirit, but abundance of spirit that's related to actual physical abundance, resources, those types of things. Trying to push ahead and trying to get more, but not necessarily succeeding, because you're not waiting for timing, because ultimately it is about timing. The universe responds to us in time, when it wants to respond, kind of thing, and having patience and a belief that yes, it will come to you. So it doesn't mean stop doing and not do anything. I mean, of course we have to live, we have to try and make our lives bring our lives forward, and do those types of things that will make us have success and abundance and all those things that we want. But on the other hand, if you have done everything you can, and you hit a brick wall and things are just not working out, this is where you just say, okay, let go and let me see what the universe will give me. And this is where miracles can actually happen if we let go of it. This is about wanting to feel good, wanting to feel satisfied with what you have, with how you look, with the Venusian things of life, the beauty, the softness. Right now we have Mars in the gate 26. This is something that we talked a lot about last week, and it really is about this idea of taking those ideas, and we do have a lot of energy of wanting to build new things that have only been sitting in our mind for so long, and there's this energy to really want to do it, to get it out there. And yet when we have the Mars, we know that that's an aggressive, quick energy that wants this to happen yesterday, and in fact it's not going to. It's going to happen in the future, and having patience to understand that these kinds of things take time. And this is also articulating and saying, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to bring into the world. On February 23rd, we're moving into the gate 8. Now, this is an energy, again, we're getting into the individual energy. The gate 23 is a individual energy as well. This is about a contribution that you want to bring into the world, as in something you want to sort of show the world. Some creative expression of who you are, how you want to sort of be known, or a leadership style that you are not actively trying to lead, but in fact you are leading just by example, and because you are creating and doing what those things that make you feel good about yourself and make you feel good. This comes with a level of melancholy, just like the gate 55. So what you will notice is there's this potential for maybe more melancholy for the next couple, for the next week or so, for the next transit period, because there is more individual energy, because there is so much beauty in the individual energy. But again, we have this melancholy, and to understand that there is always going to be a yin and yang to everything, and to understand that it flows through you, and you let it flow. And when you're doing something that makes you happy or makes you feel satisfied, then that will be, it's the best remedy to accept where you are and allow your natural process to move to the next place, wherever that will be. This is a lot about leadership, and again, really trying to bring a mutative energy into the world, something new, brand new. This is Mars, so it's going to be an aggressive energy, an aggressive need to have these very mutative concepts and leadership styles of, and maybe we'll see some very Marsy type of individual coming out into the forefront. And I mean, when I think about this type of energy, I think about someone like Elon Musk. I don't think he has this, but if he does, I know he does have the gate 23. So it's all individual energy. And they say that the 8 and the 23 are sort of like mirrors, because we all have these within the human design body graph. There are mirror kind of energies that are, they're kind of like similar but a little bit different, so they kind of have that same energy. And this is the 8 and the 23. So the 23 says I know, and then the 8 says I know I can. So he has a 23. So in other words, he has this sense of this knowing circuit, because it's all about this knowing of an inner knowing that you can't really explain how you know it or why you know it, but there's this idea that you have to bring into reality. So it's that type of Marsy kind of leadership energy that's showing, I can do something brand new that you've never seen before, and let me show you. It can be very aggressive, it can be very pushy, and wanting to get the ideas across, and a lot of talking about it. So if we always think about the throat as energies that we're talking about, as opposed to just thinking about it, you're articulating what you're actually doing. So a lot of talk about the things that you could bring into the future. When we get to Jupiter's moving into the line 2 and the line 3. The line 2 is all about hearing a lot of the same stories, and maybe some level, it's not necessarily the fatigue, but it's just this idea that you start to imagine that certain people are always going to be saying the same thing. So I guess this is called bigotry. But when we look at this and in the perspective of human design and the gate 13, we're thinking about, oh, that person always says this. And so maybe you're just kind of tuning out from certain people. And sometimes we can have this concept that only certain people are always going to say the same thing. So they look a certain way. And so, oh, well, maybe they dress this way, so this is what they're like, and this is what they're going to say. And so that's the kind of energy. So there could be this idea that people are going to say a certain thing based on what they look like, or what you think that they look like, based on what you believe they will say, kind of thing. Like you have this preconceived notion of what they're going to tell you, and the kind of things that are going to come out of their mouth, the kind of secrets that they're going to tell. But the thing about this is that from this energy, you might have this idea what you think they're going to say, but then something completely unexpected comes out of their mouth, and then you're shocked by it, usually in a positive way. So this is expecting somebody to be just this whatever, kind of always the same kind of affair, and then being shocked and surprised that something new is coming out. So this could be potential for hearing some new ideas, new types of things, new secrets that we haven't heard about, but secrets that are potentially good for the collective. Again, this is Jupiter, the higher benefic. The thing about Jupiter is it overinflates things as much as it does anything else. So there's that type of thing. This is about religion as well. It could be about law. So we could have some, oh, that's the same old tired law, we've always heard it, but now there's a new twist on it, something new we've never heard about. When we get into the third line, it's the level of pessimism. Who will I listen to? Who is just bending my ear just to bend my ear? So you're discerning about who you're going to listen to and who you're not going to. So if you're listening to media, if you're listening to things that are all around you, you're going to start to be more discerning about what makes sense and what doesn't. There is a potential for pessimism in this energy. So to remember that you can use your discernment. If it feels like it's making you feel pessimistic, maybe sometimes it's just better to tune out than actually continue to listen to the types of things that kind of shift your reality to make you feel not so amazing about life. So instead of doing that, maybe just shift on to somebody that, again, this is where we're discerning who's worthwhile listening to and who isn't, and shifting away from the people that are saying just this, because I mean, I think that if we're looking at the COVID, for instance, coverage, I think that the one thing that I have to say is there's like, oh, it's a forest fire and it's gonna, it's gonna take us out, and now they're having these mutations, and we're, and there's all these variants, and yes, I'm not disputing that, but on the other hand, it's such a gloom and doom kind of concept that of how they deliver it, that you almost it almost feels like fear mongering. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not going to decide what they're doing or what they're not doing, but I'm not saying not to be aware and not to take precautions and not to take care of yourself, your health, and that type of thing. But on the other hand, there's this level of fear that is injected into all the information that's coming that I don't think is necessary. I think that sometimes we can use our discerning to decide, okay, I'm going to take the precautions. I'm going to do the right things for myself, and I'm not going to be scared. So those are the choices you can make when we're talking about this energy. Saturn has been in the gate 41 since December 2020, and now we're going to finally be moving into the gate 19. The gate 41 is like I said, all those manifestations, experiences, all the things that we want to bring into the future. And again, this is experiential energy. This is social energy. This is collective energy. It's pushing it out to the world. The experiences I want to have with other people, the experiences, it's less, it's not individual. It's about, I want to do this, I want to go to this beach with all these people, and and do my have beach yoga or whatever I want to do, something like that. And now we're moving into a tribal energy, which is all about this. Again, we're getting back into, this is where the rubber hits the road. When we talk about this energy, we're talking about the gate 19. We're talking about, okay, how can we support the rebellion? How can we support our people? How can we support what needs to happen? This is taking care of people. This is taking care of your partner. This is taking care of the needs of society, the needs of the tribe, the needs of the people. And these are the most basic of needs that we need. These are the survival of who we are as humans. These are the types of energy, and there's a lot of sensitivity to this, potentially being oversensitive. The limits of Saturn, because Saturn is all about some level of limits, being sensitized to the limits that are actually placed on you. In other words, having had so many limits placed on us in the last year plus, being unable to really cope with anymore. It's like, I've had my fill. I'm done. I can't do anymore with the limits that are placed on me. I'm just I'm desensitized, almost, you could say, or I'm over it. This is where we could get to the point where we're desensitized by the limits, and we don't care what's happening anymore with the rules and regulations and those types of things. And there could be this idea of possibly drawing in on yourself, or this other idea is that you're just pushing out that, supporting this idea of, how can we make the difference? How can we transform the situation into something that's better for everyone? And we know that the nodes are going to remain in the 35 and the 5. We're moving into the 35, which is all about a new experience, but it's the right experience. It's the things that we want to bring in, things that we want to experience in our lives, that it's not just anything. It comes with a tall order of, what do I really want to do, as opposed to what are the million things I could do. It's like there's nothing wrong with dollar stores. I love dollar stores. But the one thing about dollar stores is a lot of little knickknacks. And when my kids were small, every time we'd go out, we'd buy a bunch of knickknacks, and there'd be all these little toys all over the place. And it was all stuff that just fell apart, as opposed to going out and buying something that is a little bit more costly. Maybe it would take, it takes a little bit longer to, some sort of a toy that's a little bit more costly and takes a little bit longer to pay for it. But yet it's something that is something that they're going to get some level of education with. They're going to get more wear and tear out of it. It's going to be worthwhile for them. So this is the kind of energy we're talking about. We're moving into something that is, it's not quick and finished and over with. It's something that's more long lasting. And it's all about, again, this is the most important thing. If you look at this woman, she's on a paper airplane and she's going to this castle. For her, the experience of being on that paper airplane and going to that castle is actually the whole embodiment of the experience. Once you get to the castle, that thrill is over with because you've already done it. It's you're there. But this on the way to that experience, that amazing experience that you want to do is really where you want to pay attention. And a lot of times we want to jump ahead and not really pay attention to those moments. We want to just pay attention to, oh, I just want to get to the castle and that's all I care about. So remember that the journey is just as important, if not as important, because it allows you to have the memories of what you did, what you experienced, and then going forward, you'll have something sort of in your memory chest. I mean, ultimately, everything we do in life, every accomplishment, every goal we have in life, a lot of times when they get done, those things, those big things we've always wanted, and then there's this like a deflation. But you always, if you didn't pay attention along the way, you won't have that amazing memory to go with that experience. And again, this, remember the good old days when we used to do this, and eventually we got to where we wanted to go. Or in university, a lot of people go to university, and it's all about all those little things that you did before you actually got your degree or before you graduated from whatever you were doing. So just that's the kind of energy we're moving into. The gate 5 is about moving away from, I mean, I think that if we're moving away from something, or something that we've already learned the lesson of, it is moving away from the impatience into the patience. So we're moving into the higher energy of what the gate 5 means. So if we're thinking about it, you could also look at it as being an energy for the same thing, like, and having the same routine, and liking the same routine. And sometimes you can get so stuck in this routine that you get fearful about getting outside of that routine. So moving away from always the same thing, and opening up your eyes and your perspective to something different, as opposed to always the same thing and feeling comfortable. Well, yeah, I'm comfortable with this because that's what I'm used to, as opposed to understanding that sometimes you can open up and be open to something brand new, and maybe it will be nothing that you like, and maybe it'll be something that you like, and maybe it'll be just a little bit that you like, but that you'll never know unless you're open to trusting that life can give you something different. So it's about patience and or impatience, which, again, trying to move away from impatience to patience. Uranus remains in the gate 27, and I think that if we're talking about Uranus, it's the sudden changes, and the sudden, like a lightning bolt that kind of comes out of nowhere and strikes, and you just didn't expect it to come. And this is what we're seeing right now. We're seeing, with the gate 27, we're seeing all this inability to care for the people. And I'm going back to the same idea of these weather changes, the weather patterns, and people suffering, and people are not being taken care of because we have these unexpected things that are happening, and the people are not being cared for. And this is what the kind of energy that we're working with. The thing about Uranus is that it will bring these unexpected things into being, but it will also get people starting to think, okay, if this kind of thing can just shoot out of nowhere and happen out of nowhere and take us off guard, how can we safeguard against that in the future? How can we get the food to the people that need the food? How can we take care of all those people? Do all the things that we needed to do to support our tribe, because this is about the actual care that goes to support the tribe, instead of always relying on restaurants and those types of things which have closed down. We've changed because we've had to. And this is Uranus saying, okay, yes, I've given you something brand new that you've never seen before and never would have expected could ever happen. And how are you going to work with it? How are you going to change, and how are you going to adapt? And Neptune remains in the gate 22 until March 14th. And I don't know if I actually mentioned this last week, but if I didn't, I'll just say it again, that Neptune is exalted in the fourth line. So this is an exalted energy. And this is all about, again, your individuality. And when we talk about the 1222, and this is a charm part of the charm and grace part of the 1222 channel. This is all about social interaction. This is about the social things that happen to get the mutation out into the world. So again, when we're talking about mutation, we're talking about those individual ideas, and new ideas that we haven't actually done before, and it can come through creativity and expressing ourselves and individuality. This is about acting without formality. So in other words, getting your creations, getting your individuality, getting your ideas and those things out into the world in a very informal way, in a way that you're just expressing yourself. And the other thing that we can also, I haven't really talked about before, again, when we're talking about the individual energy, there is this melancholy related to the creative need to express yourself as well. So we have a lot of this melancholy, and to remember that when we are feeling the energy of these planets, the heaviness of this melancholy, again, this expression of creativity directed to wherever you want to do. What do you love to do? What makes your heart sing? Find that thing and do it. So accepting who you are, where you are, and knowing what you need, and honoring what you need will be the best way to work with this energy. Pluto remains in the line 6. This is exalted as well. Finding out those things that we really have been searching for all along. This could be, and I talk about Pluto, it's always about this idea that when Pluto enters a gate and leaves a gate, it never leaves it. It is never the same afterwards. And this is what we know, that it is completely reconfiguring this energy. And again, this is mutative energy. This is a melancholy. This remembering that we have a tremendous amount of mutative and tribal energy. So we have the tribe pushing to get what they want, and then we have the individual saying, I need something too. So the tribe says, well, the tribe needs this, and the individual says, but I need to have something too. So can we be a little selfish for what we need, because we need to honor who we are, to honor the way we feel, and honor what we need? Because if we do not honor what we need, then other people suffer, because we're not there to support them. We can't support people unless we feel supported in ourselves, and that only comes by taking care of ourselves as much as we take care of others. And that's back to the gate 27, Uranus and gate 27. That's about taking care of yourself, as opposed to always sacrificing everything you do. And Chiron is in line 4. And the thing about the line 4 of any energy is that we're always talking about some level of influence. So when we get to this, we have Chiron in the gate 17, and this is about this energy of influence, because you're always saying the same kind of opinions, you're saying the same kind of things. So the key with this is there could be some energy of trying to fit everybody and put everybody in their specific places, because the thing about the gate 17, this is all about logic, and it's about logically sort of saying, you go here, you go there. And because it is in the 4th line, there is this level, like I said, of this influence. And so has potential to start to have this level of having people follow it. Now, the gate 17, we're talking about the wounded healer. So we could see that some people who are trying to, I think something could gain momentum, we could say, with the 4th line. When we get to 4th line, something about how we can logically start to heal the wounds that we are feeling, starting to gain some level of momentum, that okay, what kind of helpful things can we do to heal? We could have a rise of some level of to me, it really feels, it talks to spirituality, some spiritual kind of practice, or self-help, or some spiritual leader, or something about spirituality that will have this ability to start to get a following, where people are going to start using it to heal themselves. And it will have some level of influence, as long as people are staying in integrity to what they believe, and not just blindly following. The whole key with this is there could be potential to blindly follow others based on this idea that this person knows everything, or this type of thing. But if there's this idea of using your discernment of, yes, this is right for me, and no, this isn't right for me. If you could look at human design as the same concept, as human design is all about, it definitely has been, to me, based on what I've seen, there's been some level of dogma that has been attached to human design that is not meant to be part of human design. Human design is 100% about what works for you, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel not good. If something in human design doesn't make you feel good, then it's not for you. And it's not something that, and it might be wonderful for other people, but it's not for you. And that's okay. And I think that the most important thing to get across is always be true to you and what makes you feel good. And as long as you're true to you, then it's going to be fine. And just because someone says, oh, this is the only way, this is the only path, that's not true. There's always going to be a multitude of paths. Once upon a time, I was a nurse, and I was in nursing school. And I there was a way we had to open a specific surgical tray. And I remember that I had my own little way, and it was a way that I was able to open the tray in a way that it was sterile, and that was really what was most important. And yet my instructor said I was going to get what was called a below level. A below level meant that because I didn't do it a certain way, that I was going to have like I guess you could say an F, I guess you could say, which was pretty stunning to me because I knew that I'd done it perfectly well. But in her mind, there was only one way to open the tray, and I hadn't done it. And so remember, stand in your truth. If you have a different way of expressing yourself and in walking your path and living your life, and you're not hurting anybody doing it, then just go ahead and do it. And that's my soapbox moment for the week. That's all I have for you this week. As I said, I check out Instagram if you can't come to the community tab on YouTube, and you can check it out. I'll be doing some daily little things in there about the gates and that type of thing. I hope everybody's continuing to enjoy it. If you haven't started already, please come on. And I wish you a very good week, and I will see you again next week. Take care. Bye for now.